I love Jackie Chan. I've seen and own almost every single one of his films. I've read his autobiography. I follow his life day to day on social media. I even have him as my phone's wallpaper. Okay, not really, but my point is that Jackie Chan is my man. So when I read an article online recently that he starred in a porn back in the 70s, I was completely shocked. No way, I said to myself, not my Jackie. But then I read this quote from him in the Information Times. I had to do anything I could to make a living 31 years ago, but I don't think it's a big deal. Even Marlon Brando used to be exposed in his movies. Then followed up with, the porn movie at that time was more conservative than the current films. After doing some research, I could attest that vintage pornos were quite different way back when. For one thing, there was much more plot, characters, and hair. But still, this revelation was a lot for me to take in. Regardless of Jackie Chan's personal life, which admittedly isn't blemish-free, his image on film has always been one to shy away from sexually explicit content. He very rarely has romantic relationships on screen, and when he does, it's always suggestive. A kiss, a look, a feeling.
Is this gonna cost me?
So let's get to the bottom of this. The adult film in question does exist, called
花飞满城春
or All in the Family. Watching the movie, I can definitely say that this is not a porno. It's a comedy, which honestly isn't half bad. The film in its first half follows a couple talking about the prospects of children.
我和你结婚都10年了，不要说你生了，你连个屁也放不出来呀！
怪我啊！就算我能生，拿什么养啊？
We then see them in the future. Their children are all money hungry and believe their parents are rich because how incredibly cheap they are.
没说的到账啊！
爸爸，是不是东屋里边埋着金元宝呀？
是吗？
说呀，爸爸。
你说啊，
说啊，东屋没有人，点着灯干什么啊？不知道能源缺乏吗？啊？
Each wants the money for themselves and comedy ensues. There's a lot of slapstick in this film. People get flour in their face, slapped around, or pissed on. But mixed in with all these lighthearted jokes is some really great black comedy. There's a part in the film where the father is dying and he asks each son how they would carry out his funeral. The first son suggests an expensive funeral and the second son suggests a cost-effective funeral, both of which the frugal father hates. The third son suggests they actually make money off his death by cutting up his body and selling the meat.
您这一咽气啊，我们就把它用盐给腌上，然后化整为零，切了卖咸肉。
The father loves this idea and on his dying breath tells the family not to sell his flesh to the East Town because their credit is bad.
千万别到东城去卖，东城不给现钱，净欠账，知道吗？
It's so morbid, but also hilarious.
As always, we asking the question, where Jackie Chan at right now? I want to know where he at.
Jackie Chan is actually barely in this film. He shows up in the second half as a rickshaw driver who ends up having sex with his boss's wife and the girl who lives next door. Both scenes excluding the 70s porn music are mostly played up for comedy. Also, at the end, Jackie gets VD. Overall, even though the film has less nudity than most modern adult comedies, I can see why the more family-friendly Jackie Chan of today might reflect on this film as a low point in his career. Overall, not a bad film with a couple funny jokes.